Good morning, everyone. It is 11 minutes past 8 o'clock right now. Welcome back to the program. We're about ready to talk about a very serious subject, but as Jackie just got done mentioning, do it in a fun way.
Yes, so we're asking you to pucker up out there for a very specific reason, and we do have two very dear friends of us, Paul and Kathy Teason, joining us in studio once again. Thank you guys for being here. But when we're talking about a serious topic, what are we talking about?
We're talking about suicide prevention, and there's a lot of things that go into that. So it's the month. It's a suicide awareness month,
right?
And we come on and kind of we want to do awareness. We want to say stop for a minute and look at your friends and family and your neighbor, and if there's mental health issues, then let's get them corrected. Let's reach out to people.
This is something we need to talk about, and for so many years, for as long as some people can remember, this was a subject that was taboo. You stayed away from it. You left it alone, and a lot of times you left it alone to the point where it accelerated to the point beyond return.
Right, and it's a dark topic. It's it's something that it's hard to talk about. But once you open the door and you begin that it's about people, it's about your neighbors, your friends, your family, and all that we exist together, that's when you can open the door and say, well, I care about you. I want to be part of your life. I want you to be part of my life, and I don't want you out of my life.
Now, Paul, you take it to the next level with something you call SOS, which is Serve Our Soldiers.
Correct.
So always thank you for your service and what you continue to do for our country. But how are you highlighting that also for our veterans?
My wife actually kind of runs that part of it, and we did this together. And it's something that we want to do. It's a Facebook thing where people reach out and we give advice and
provide resources
and things like that, like she said. And it's a nonprofit kind of thing, that we just wanted to start and say, look, there's got to be a way, because social media is a big tool that people use, and it's actually a really good tool for this kind of thing, because people can reach out and not feel like they're exposing themselves too much.
Right.
Because it is an embarrassing thing to admit that you've got problems and things like that, but it shouldn't be.
I say it's an embarrassing to a point, but now becoming more acceptable as people are understanding what is really going on.
Right. It shouldn't be. If you're having problems in your life, let's go get them fixed,
Right.
The Facebook page is up. Kathy, if people want to reach out, as you mentioned, if they just want to send you a private message or post something, is this the best way to do so?
You can do it through SOS, or you can go directly to one of our personal pages, Paul's or myself, Kathy Teason. I'm the only Kathy Teason on Facebook, so
easy to find.
We'll find you, but by reaching out, you guys are able to direct them into the right place so that they understand someone is listening, someone cares, and you're going to give them some hope.
And Kathy, Paul mentioned tools. Provide them with some access to some tools. What kind of tools will you give people access to?
Well, there's lots of resources out there that people aren't aware of. I mean, there's not just 800 numbers that you can call, because a lot of people get frustrated with those. Those are great resources, but there's a lot more out there. There's programs, there's treatments. We aren't doctors, we aren't licensed to counsel, but we can be life coaches, and we can tell them about our personal situations, and we can point them in the direction of people that could possibly talk to them and get them to the next step.
Right.
So when we're talking about Suicide Awareness Month and coming to the end of this month, obviously we want this conversation to continue. What would you say? What is the best foot going forward to make sure that it's not just focused on this 1 month of September?
Like we've talked about so many times, I keep going back to this, and this is relationships. Build healthy relationships, because that's your guardrails. Because everybody's going to go through things that are difficult and frustrating and on and on and on. If you have those guardrails in place, you can bounce off of them and say, hey, can I talk to you about this? Because if you let it build up and you let these things crumble over time, there's going to come a point where you might not be able to talk about it. You're just going to get depressed and have these problems. There's no real tip of the spear to this thing. Some people are more resilient than others, but we have to go back and we have to really engage with each other, and find the people that you trust, and begin to have that dialogue, and be open and honest with people and transparent. And that's part of good, healthy relationships, is not holding on to things. you know, and talk about it, you know, because sometimes that just lets off the steam enough to be able to figure it out.
Yeah, and I think one of the things you want to make sure that we point out is because you're holding in your emotions and your feelings and what you're thinking does not make you a tough person. No. And I know you've dealt with so many different people in the military, and they have to be these rough and tough individuals, and that's not the case, is it?
Not always. I think you need to understand healthy emotions. You know, there's times to be tough, and there's times to be a little bit softer. You know, because you're dealing with people.
It's not a sign of weakness, though.
No, it's not. No. It's not a sign of weakness to go get help.
Right.
You know. You help yourself by working out to be healthier, right? So what's wrong with saying, you know, my mind is not right now. I need to go see somebody that, you know, understands this and maybe kind of help turn me back in the right direction, you know? And I think we all need that now and then. We call it an azimuth check, or, you know, when you're navigating, it's an azimuth. You set an azimuth and sometimes you just get off course. So you check your azimuth. Well, I'm not on course, so guess what? You got to get back on that track. And it could be as simple as just talking to somebody for an hour. There's a phone for the military. It's called Give an Hour, and they do a free counseling for an hour, and maybe further on. But it's all over the country. It's a great resource, and you can call it. So these things really need to be talked about. You know, we need to open up with each other. And we need to be kind to each other and say, look, what's going on in your life? And if they don't want to talk, they don't want to talk. There's a guy named Hines. If you look him up on YouTube, he's one of the only survivors off the Golden Gate Bridge. And if you just YouTube the guy that survived the Golden Gate Bridge, he's got lots of videos in his testimony. And he had severe mental health issues. He had schizophrenia and a severe form of bipolar disease. And he just wanted to die. But now he goes around, and I personally saw him live tell his testimony. I tell you, I don't cry a whole lot, but this guy brought a tear to my eyes. And he's an amazing guy, and he saved lots of lives.
Getting his message out.
Yeah, absolutely.
As you said, it's continuing to talk about it, which is why we wanted you both to be on with us once again before the end of the month, but continuing it on. And you're doing it in a very fun way, Kathy. As we mentioned, there is a fun aspect to this, and that's with the Pucker Up Challenge. So what's been the reaction of this challenge?
There's been mixed reactions. Most of them positive, but there are people that say, well, why would you do something so silly for a serious subject like that? Well, sometimes you have to do something to get people's attention.
Absolutely.
So that they let their guards down and you can begin to talk about it. We did something with Iowa League of Heroes. And they're supporting us now, and we've got heroes joining the challenge, and we just want to get people talking about it.
You might do the walleye. Look at that, huh?
Yeah, fisheries involved. But yeah, it's for everybody, and it's not silly, and we just want people to support it. It's an important cause.
That is funny.
Absolutely. So by doing this, by showing your duck lips or puckering up, and what's the hashtag we need to use?
Kiss suicide goodbye.
Kiss suicide goodbye. By doing that, you are continuing to raise awareness, spread the message, so it goes well beyond just this suicide awareness.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you so much for everything you're doing.
Thank you for all your support.
Good to see you, buddy.
You too. Absolutely. Thank you.